Good morning. Welcome to day 3 of Campcraft Outdoors Advanced Survival class. Last night went a lot better. The fire is a major, that's a lifesaver. The night before, it was, couldn't quite even feel my feet. I would get up, do jumping jacks, run up and down the hill, try to get my blood flowing. Nod off, basically. Didn't sleep, but I did nod off a couple times. Last night with the fire, game changer. A few times I had some cold spots and I would rearrange my body and get it closer to the fire, or I would have to get up just to add wood. Also, that frog was I don't know if it's just a morale booster, but it was great. That was the best frog I've ever ate. The onion soup didn't quite work out as well as I thought. I think I'm going to try to just boil them up, soften them, and eat them. That's my next attempt at eating the onions. The shelter was fine. The bed is actually pretty comfortable. I've got it kind of at an incline right now, so you sit down and you almost fall asleep in that thing. It's kind of hard to work because it's at such an incline, but it's great for sleeping. So I kind of was sitting up by the fire, taking care of a few morning tasks. I got more water on to boil. This is bottle number 3 for me today, so I'm trying to get myself hydrated again. I'm still dehydrated, but the creek's right here, fire's right here, so it's just a matter of time before I catch up again. I'm going to head out the creek this morning and check my snares that I set. Hopefully I get some meat in there. Today's deliverables was obtain 3 ounces of meat, that frog, and then a worm, and then I'll probably do another worm, but that's over 3 ounces. But if I got a coon or a possum or something in a trap, that's a complete game changer there. The second objective was to make a projectile hunting weapon. I'm going to look for wood to try to make a bow, a quickie bow. There's a lot of cedar here. That is not what you want to have. My tools are starting to dull out pretty bad too. This is because this is a class, you're forced to do things that you wouldn't normally do in a survival situation to, prolong the life of your tools, because it's all time orientated, speed, putting pressure on you. So I didn't have the opportunity to either not do a task if I thought it was going to damage my tool, or make a couple cuts, make a couple strops back and forth before I lose that edge. I did finish a projectile weapon, so my deliverables for the day are all done, but I'd like to try to do a bow anyway. I found a glove out on the trail, and I thought originally it was a leather glove. It was a mechanic's glove, mechanic's brand. Leather fingers, leather palms, but it wasn't fully leather. So I was going to make like a shepherd sling out of it. So I did accomplish that. I cut the fingers off and used the fingers as backing. And then I'm going to use this heavy Cordura side for the rock. Now I'm kind of out of bank line here at camp, so these are short little pieces. I did see more bank line yesterday. They're in some old chairs actually, and I couldn't really untie it with what I had, so I'm going to go back today with my saw. It's on the way as I'm checking my snares. But everything right now I'm doing is fire dependent. The fire has to keep going. How far I go out to camp is going to dictate how well the fire was stoked before I left. I don't want to have to get in another situation of doing a bow drill. I've got a couple rocks now out of the creek, but they're so-so. It's not like using a good black English flint. It's real light sparks compared to that. But I'll be able to get some bank line and put extensions on that sling Also, I'll be looking for semi-round projectiles. I know I'm not going to find them round out here. And then wood. I didn't go through all the wood I had last night, which I'm thankful for. I needed more smalls. I drug full, long cedar trees up that were dead. So I've got all the branches there as an emergency reserve. And I had to go in a few of those early this morning just to keep things rolling. But I've got a good bed of coals. Seems like the wrist size pieces seem to burn pretty good. I was splitting some of those giant logs that are down by where I was dropped off at. I was sitting on a few of those. It's hard to split with my axe. I'm using a 24-inch fine forest axe. It did the job though. I just have to pick the right one. Try to take small slices off of it. It's like the low-hanging fruit. I'm not going to get caught up beating through a knot and break an axe handle. It's not worth it to me. So I want to double up my wood pile. So I got 2 more nights. I don't know what Saturday's deliverables are, but today I'm in good shape right now. So in between the wood gathering, if I can find the right tree, I'm going to try to craft a bow. It'll be tricky with my axe and knife in the shape they were. They're not damaged at all. They're just not sharp, not strappable again. I believe I'm going to take the camera with you today when I go up, just in case I happen to catch something in the snares. And I know the cordage is down there too. I'll show you how I set the snares, why I set them there, and we'll see. So this is my first set. This was my best set, to be honest. There was a cedar tree across here, and this hole was completely out of sight. So I thought this was a really good active spot. Maybe disturbing it messed it up. But we just have snares. I don't have any trapping wire. Normally, you would take trapping wire and you would anchor the trap with it's called a whammy. It can be either a tube or a spring. These have springs on them. That way the body of the trap doesn't move when the animal hits it. The only thing that moves is the loop that tightens. So to try to recreate that, on this one I've got a green stick that I cut and split and then jammed it into the ground, hoping that would grab the cable enough. I'm anchored to this tree over here, and it's too far for the snare, so I actually had to double up the snares. I'm using a snare as an extension, basically, to give me a solid anchor. Normally also, you want to set the snare up off the ground, because you're going for a neck catch. Most of the time you're going to get a body catch. But maybe 3 or 4 fingers up and a little bit smaller loop is what I would like to have. I cannot anchor that trap, the snare up in the air. I tried and tried. I figured if it got there, if I catch a shoulder, or if hopefully it would drag along the body and I'd catch it by the hind legs, or the body catch at the best. But this was my first set. 0, but that's how it goes. And again, I just disturbed this. I pulled a big cedar tree out of here. But this was a pretty good looking spot. I mean, there is no more funneled area than a den hole. It doesn't mean it's an active hole right now, but I have the possibility of, coon or possum or whatever could be in there. And I also have the possibility of something coming down here hunting, going into the den to try to look for an easy meal. Then I'd get an easy meal. So I'll continue down the creek. I'll show you my other sets. And also I'm looking for cordage, which is down here, and a material for a bow. So I'm looking for a 2-3 inch sapling, hardwood preferably. Hopefully we find all that. Now here's some raccoon scat that I saw yesterday. They're using this log. They're coming out a possible den hole here, and then they cross on this log. and I would have liked to have set that, but without wire I really can't. The ideal situation would be like a conibear here or here. You know, you could use the nails to drive that in, or they make special conning brackets for that. The den itself, there were so many holes that it could come out of, I didn't really see a focal point. And I don't have the materials to waste setting, you know, 50% of my traps on this one spot. Okay, here's location number 2. I did the same green stick whammy, and I was able to get this one up off the ground. You see that little bit of gap right here. Now the ovality of the snare is not what you want. You want that snare to be as round as possible. When you get a new snare, these were brand new out of the package, and I deburred the lock just by running it back and forth by hand. That's the part that actually slides forward but will not let it come back up the snare wire. But you get it to a certain size and you train it to that size, and then you coil it and it stays whatever, a 6-inch snare, an 8-inch snare for all of its snare life. This one doesn't seem to hold its shape very well. I mean, it'll still catch an animal. Over here to this side, I couldn't block the whole opening, so this side's all cleaned out, and I just put a bunch of debris on this side to try to funnel the animal into the snare. But that snare loop's a little large, but the distance off the ground is what I want. So I'm happy with that one. I'm not happy with the results. Okay, this is snare number 2. Here's a big big coil of fencing wire that was thrown down. So when I was coming down the trail, camp is back this way. When I was coming down the riverbed searching, I didn't see this one until on the way back. So that just shows you always keep your eyes open. And coming back, I saw a nice little dent hole. Same thing, I've got a green stick whammy holding that in. Couldn't get it elevated, but I like the loop size on that. And I'm anchored to a good solid root. So that's my 3 snares that I've got out. So the 3 snares that are out, you know, nothing. That's not surprising. You know, I'm just blind setting. I don't know the area. And usually it takes a couple days for this stuff to work. But I like the locations. I really wouldn't move it. And I'm not out anything anyway because I walked this way yesterday looking for rocks, and today because there's cordage down this bed here. So I'm not out anything. And we'll check them again tomorrow morning.